Welcome to the Top 20 Video Game Music Show with tracks selected by you. More specifically, Cyflan, Rudi, Claudio, Kris, Prince, and myself. I added a few this week. This is from The Sims, Buy Mode 1 theme. Isn't that special? But for my first pick, I decided to put in a few picks this week because we had some slower tracks, some more ambient tracks, and I really wanted to start off with a bang. One of the best PC genres was the strategy genre, especially real-time strategy, before it got bastardized into League of Legends and Dota, which are very popular, so I guess I'm in the wrong there. But you can never beat this track, composed by Frank Klepacki from Red Alert. This is Hell March. Red Alert, what can you say about Hell March? It's badass. Nice, heavy, stomping. I love that industrial for the percussion that just really makes it seem like you can feel kind of the industry of it. What I liked about these strategy games was that a lot of the times, especially for playing the story missions, they weren't really that particularly challenging. It was more like get some resources, build up your base, and then when you're ready, you go in and you blast them. And you spend maybe a nice 45 minutes or an hour just kind of putting it all together. But then when you're ready and you're going to just go over and destroy some poor, hapless level 2 AI, doesn't stand a chance. This music was the greatest soundtrack in the world. To go crush some allies. I forgot about this part. This is what happens when you add Tesla coils to rock music. Woo. Our next track selected by Cyflan from the very popular, the cult hit, Ragnarok Online. This is Can't Go Home Again, Baby, composed by SoundTeMP. Boy, that's really, really nice. Cyflan with his most crowd-pleasing pick. This is like beautiful. How did you put that? Talking about that Japanese synth D. Electro-Japanese synth D. That Japanese fusion. I mean, really fun. Really, really dancey. Like just... But like also a lot of retro stuff from, say, the 70s. Just that kind of like dancey piano. It's got that feel of kind of like retro 70s, where it doesn't sound like it's from the 70s. It sounds like a more futuristic 2000s interpretation of 70s funk. Just like killer bass, laser guns firing off. I love it. It really makes me happy. It's just so dancey and fun. And I'm always a big fan of when musicians can sound like they're really shredding, but it's tasteful and it's catchy. It's still, it gets that musical part of my brain going, but also just gets the pure like pop loving part as well. The part that loves cheesy fun. Ooh, a beach resort at night. The menu theme at a beach resort at night. Oh yeah. What are you gonna order? Sex on the beach. This next one is chosen by Kris. It's from PC Game of the Year in 2000, Deus Ex. This is the Synapse Ambient, composed by Alexander Brandon and Dan Gardopée. It definitely does have a jungle theme. Prince, again, you're right on the money with that. I think it's that sort of like digital, almost like marimba, or it sounds like you're hitting these sort of like hollowed out wooden bamboo pieces that are giving sort of a different pitch for each length of bamboo. And it also has that sort of like 80s MIDI guitar sound. So it sounds like you're watching a jungle collage of Arnold Schwarzenegger about to go murder some Colombian drug cartel people. I like this. It's got a real nice mix of some very traditional Asian sounds and melodies, but then it's done with a lot of different MIDI sounds, a lot of electronic sounds, and a bit of like an industrial kind of, really kind of like light, soft beat in the back that kind of keeps it light on its feet, you know, whereas it's not like a really pounding beat. but I like that constant, which just kind of, to me, sounds like, you know, the fingers clacking on a keyboard or going through cyberspace or Synapse is firing. Next pick by Claudio from Heroes of Might and Magic 4. This is Hope, composed by Paul Romero. Oh man, really beautiful. When this first came on, I thought, sort of ho-hum. It's going to be a bit of an RPG, whimsical, you know, a lot of like plucking and arpeggiating and some traditional instruments. But it really quickly drew me in. That sort of winding arpeggio makes you very thoughtful, very soothing and earthy. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But it's just something kind of so nostalgic about it. And I've never played Heroes of Might and Magic, but it's an incredibly evocative melody that just forces you to be nostalgic about something. And it's got that heavy weight under it. There's a seriousness to it, a reverence. Hopefully this will segue nicely. Chosen by Rudi from The Witcher 1. This is Believe, composed by Adam Skorupa and Paweł Błaszczak. It's really hard to turn it down, but at some point we do need to turn it down and talk about it. I love this part with that rain ambiance there. Really beautiful. I think the two things that stick out to me the most in this track are that aching violin and the heavy guitar. I think when you have that sort of like halftime acoustic drums, real drums, with whatever it is in that violin that gives it that, I don't know, it's almost like there's a second note being played a lot with the violin that gives it kind of a different feel. Maybe it's like fiddle style, maybe they're doing double stops, maybe they're playing two strings at once and kind of droning a bit. Like they have one string open with the melody string. And then also that like kind of dirty guitar going through the mud. It just makes me think of guys with long hair and glasses going, yeah, Linux is way better. It's a shame that The Witcher 1 and 2 never seemed to really get more attention before that. But I'd say it's a shame. It actually worked out unbelievably perfectly. I think The Witcher 1 and 2 weren't polished enough to be able to reach a larger audience. And The Witcher 3, they just got their act together in time to wow people with the story. It is time for a Prince pick. This is The Mystery of the Druids, Bones in Epping Forest, composed by Christoph, Ferger, Jans Schneider, and Josef Ferger. Maybe a bit of nepotism there. Man, that is the thing that's so great about video game music, is that even a game like The Mystery of the Druids, which, as we're seeing from this gameplay video, there is a video made about this game that has 5 million views by Mandalore Gaming, covering this bizarre adventure game. But then you have this music that doesn't care how good the game that it's in. The music is solid, super, super solid. Like, you could actually put this in a Metroid game. It sounds like maybe you just got to a new a new level. It's an ice level or something. A little slower moving, maybe underwater, maybe underground. All Metroid's underground. I really love that mix of that kind of gurgly, watery, where they're using like some kind of a delay with a lot of modulation, mixed with that piano. Tuning to various radio frequencies, hoping to catch a broadcast. Yeah. This can't be it. There must be a way out. Turn the radio on. Is there anything there? Where are we? Is this a dream? Next up, another Chris pick from the precursor to Deus Ex. This is from System Shock. It is L07, Energy Engineering, Flight Deck, composed by Greg LoPiccolo and Tim Ries. Alright, so I think this version might be slightly edited in a way. I think there's something going on from Joey Chicago D saying this one's on level R, energy systems 5 and 7. Took the distortion and added modulation. Did some playing with the sawtooth arrangements. So, what's really fascinating about this one is it has all these very odd sound effects, like things that definitely do not sound like they're electronic at all. They sound more like a steampunk arrangement where you're using physical wooden and metal springs and just like silly objects, like stuff you would hear from the 1950s, sort of before they would have any type of like computer processing for this kind of stuff. And then there's also a lot of like MIDI keyboards. Just pretty weird. I haven't played System Shock. And, I mean, it's from, what year is System Shock from? 1994. So, it's an interesting choice. Are they trying to imagine like a slightly different future? One that is a little bit more analog? To me, that's like the whole idea of System Shock was that it was so digital. It's pretty weird. Interesting, though. Prince says it has some seriousness to it, but the sound effects make it just goofy enough for you to imagine the workshop of a bunch of really hardcore gnomes. Next one up, chosen by myself, from Sims 2. This is Neighborhood Theme, composed by Mark Mothersbaugh. and this track definitely has this feeling like it never wants to really resolve what it's doing. The main melody line never finishes it, which, as I was talking about The Sims earlier, it reminds me of The Sims in the fact that you never really feel like you get everything done in The Sims, and that's the whole point, is that, okay, I'll do one more day, see if I can get everything done. I'll do another half a day in this game. It's like the melody's telling you that. You're never going to get it all done, but you're going to want to keep going around and around and around. It's 5 in the morning and you're like, yeah, I just got to get my logic skill up a little more. You got mixed feelings about it. In retrospect, you appreciate it, but at the time, I thought they butchered it by losing the original classical and jazz. Yeah, this is a little more kind of glitzy, a little more straight ahead. The drum beats just sound like really basic programmed drum beats. It's themed for moving house. Lots of work to do. Packing boxes, traveling, unpacking. Yeah. I really just like the emotion that it gives. It really gives you a lot. Like you say, it's almost like there's so many things to do. Things are going in, things are coming out, but there's this feeling of like a new start. I love the instrument choice. Harkens back to that 1950s sort of super positivity, suburban vibe, the American dream. There's some like interesting key changes and modulations that just keep it pretty interesting. Really fun track. Well, cyflan may have lured you in with his happy track earlier on, but now he's back to his old tricks. This is from Len'en 3, Moonchild, Homunculus Dream. Well, when you hear cheap-sounding MIDI piano with a bit of reverb and some pretty frenetic drums, some rock drums on MIDI that are cheap, and a lot of notes and that PC sound, you know it's from one of these Tuhu fan-made, endlessly fan-made. It's like if bullet hell is a million bullets from enemies on the screen, I feel like cyflan unleashes a Tuhu bullet hell towards us of so many Tuhu tracks flying at us, coming at our face so fast. And the only way out is through. Well, let's get back to the classics from Claudio. He's chosen Cathedral theme from Diablo, composed by Uelmen. Isn't this just the sweetest? Wouldn't you love to crawl down through some landless levels in the Cathedral of Diablo? Like Prince says, a bad acid trip in your bathroom, watching your face melt in the mirror, while your upstairs neighbors are having a party. Ah, you're in the depths below. Down with the devil. And all you can do is click, 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 click. Ooh. Well, if that last track made you feel scared and overwhelmed, Prince has a wonderful palate cleanser here. From Limbo of the Lost, this is the ending song.
Go on, Rita, baby. Now that sounds really groovy. I tell you what, let's sing. Well, it's nice to see Brick safe and sound. After all he's been around, and in my view he should be crowned the King of Limbo. Well, he's had his ups and he's had his downs. He's had his smiles and he's had his frowns. But I'll still say he should be crowned the King of Limbo. Oh, what more can a poor boy do? Working for the likes of me and you. Oh, what more can a poor boy say? But I could use your help in any way. He took his courage to the brink. If it were me, I would turn to drink. Well, that's the reason I think he should be the King of Limbo. Yeah, he had to face the enough sins, but at least he kept his hymns. I think that we should be crowning him the King of Limbo. Take it away, Rita, baby. That's cool. What more can a poor boy do? Working for the likes of me and you. What more can a poor boy say? But I could use your help in any way. We've all had fun, you must agree. Even though interactively, but now we feel that Brick should be the King of Limbo. I do up.
All right, well, that's a Prince song, all right. It's from a low-budget looking PC game that maybe nobody's heard of. And it has a creepy, cheaply made song with vocals in it. With a really cartoony, silly delivery. I think I read in some of the comments people saying, like, this is not at all what the ending they expected. That it just really goes... what was this person saying? Well, you don't know how you're going to end your D&D campaign? I don't know what the lead up to this was. If they just hit you with this weird musical song right at the end. But it's very Prince. All right, after that palate cleanser, let's get back into some ultra hardcore PC music. We've heard stuff from Command & Conquer. We've heard stuff from Diablo. But how about the more modern generation of PC classics? League of Legends. This is chosen by Claudio. Arcade 2019 Ultracombo by the Riot Music Team. good gravy. You know, a lot of times when I hear this sort of like anime J-rock stuff, I kind of tune out, but they bring me right in with those descending lines. Boom, 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 boom. I love that stuff. So dramatic. They went into the kind of like Muse territory, dramatic rock territory, just with the chord movements, and then bouncing out those really dramatic chord movements with just like straight up awesome riffing. And then when it switches from the guitar to that synth and it does that crazy like stereo, it's fucking wild. That is a really, really good track. I never would have expected it from the first 30 seconds of it, but I'm definitely going to add it to my top 20 faves playlist. Pleasantly surprised. Oh yeah, very Mega Man. Alright, let's bring it down a little from that amazingness with a Rudi pick. Not that all Rudi picks bring you down. That's not what I meant. This is from Arcturus, The Curse and Loss of Divinity, Hallway to Heaven, also composed by the SoundTeMP team. Kyung Won No and Seongyu Yang. Yeah, this is, I really like this sort of, this sound you get in some of the RPGs from around this time of like industrial kind of, this sort of like halftime, grungy sort of beat, and then like synth pads, and then just something else over top of it, like that gives it a more like heavenly kind of reverential JRPG feel. You heard a lot of it in Legend of Dragoon. So sometimes the more like non-traditional JRPGs, the kind of music that they are making. This must have, I'm going to guess that Arcturus was put out, just from the way it looks, this looks like it was around the PS1 era. Maybe like late PS1, PS2. I know it was on PC, so. 2003. Okay, yes, it'd be in the PS2 era. So a bit of a throwback at the time. Looks like it'd be, 2000, 2001. It's more the vibe I'm getting from it. But just a really fun time. I mean, definitely sounds like early 2000s, late 90s. Just a really nice mix of genres and sound technologies. But, I mean, other than that, if you strip away whatever instruments are playing it on or the quality of it, I find a lot of the chord progressions in this pretty moving. Nice and winding. Does sound like you're sort of descending into something a bit sinister, like things are sort of unfolding around you. But like Prince had described it as what did he say it was? It was an authority for like a religious corporate headquarters. The HQ for celestial authority figures, because it does have that elegance with the organ playing and just like there's an elegance to a lot of the keys playing that they're doing in this. Original release was 2000, Japanese 2003. Okay. Yeah, Legend of Dragoon had that nice kind of like halftime jazz fusion. It's just a really cool way to kind of differentiate it from what Final Fantasy and Square were doing at the time. We've got another cyflan pick from Dungeon Fighter Online, Final Pursuit. Composer unknown.
Are you ready to fucking fight in Dungeons Online?
Like I said in the comment there in the chat, it sounds like a battle between the jazzy keyboard player and the metalhead guitar player. Control of the band. We will sound like this. No, we'll sound like this. Yeah, I guess fitting a sort of over-the-top action and the multiplayer aspect where you're probably combining lots of different playstyles and all kinds of shit going on. Just feels like they don't have a lot of rules and they just want to have a lot of fun. Make it epic, make it fun. It's online, so it's going to be constantly being switched up, I guess. It's a pretty wild looking game. We got a Chris pick from Factorio, Research in Minerals, composed by Daniel James Taylor. Prince, as usual, I like how you describe that. Like you're trying to invade the heavily guarded home of a really shady aristocrat with ties to the occult. It does. You know, the sparseness of sound makes it sound like it's at night, where you're being stealthy. That wind makes it sound like you're maybe outside, coming in or out. And there's a creepy vibe to it, but elegant. Elegant, creepy, and dark. Would fit really well in a Dishonored level that takes place at night. Like I said, there are a lot of ambient, sort of down and dark tracks. So I've inserted a few picks of my own, just to cheer things up a little. This is from Undertale. It is Fallen Down Reprise, composed by the genius Toby Fox. One of my favorite tracks of this last era. Toby Fox to me seems like somebody who made a deal with the devil, because he not only created most of this game that's become one of the most popular PC games of all time, he wrote all the music for it, which is so in tune with his vision of the game and quite unique. It has such a unique energy to it. I mean, this opening piano riff, I don't know if this is like heavily ripped off of something really classical that I just don't know about, but to me it just sounds like just fucking incredible. It's a simple counterpoint, but it just has so much depth to it. And then when that bass comes in, and just the shifts that it makes when it decides to move and slink around, unbelievable. I heard him on an interview in Game Informer, and they were asking him. Ben Hansen was talking to him and trying to get any information out of him, and he really surprisingly said very little about it. He just went, I don't know. They go, how'd you come up with this? What was the development process like? He's like, I don't know. I just did it. Which is where it makes it sound like, did he make a deal with the devil? Did he buy this game off of the dark web? It's like he couldn't even explain where it came from. But, I mean, maybe just the genius that he had is something that he's not great at describing, but just comes out of him. But this track is, to me, easily the best one from the game, and one of the best that I've heard in the last, 5, 6, 8 years. Oh, like Rudi says, he worked with hack versions of the older games before working on this. I mean, I guess he was like in the Earthbound ROM hacking community or something. He just sort of dedicated his whole life to this style and then made the game that only he could make. And that was so original and just so in tune with itself and on theme the whole time that it came out the way it did. I love this game. It did kind of ruin it for me streaming it for crazy people on the internet. But that's my fault. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And it sticks with you forever. After that little bit of sunshine from Undertale, let's get back into a Prince pick. This is from Black Mirror 2. Evil Boris, composed by Zdeněk Ube. Wow. Yep, Prince is definitely eclectic. Like you said, Claudio, a funny vocal track, some SpongeBob, this. Prince, every time I kept hearing all your tracks this week, I thought, I hope Prince is okay. Or maybe he just joined a cult, or maybe he suspects a cult moved in next door, and he's been watching them from the window, watching the odd hours of the night that they seem to operate, the lights that he sees glowing through the drapes on the window, that glow red and yellow and blue, the screams, the haunting cello. Could it be something sinister? Or maybe his neighbor just plays Black Mirror 2, the horror adventure game. Sequel to Black Mirror 1, The Messenger of Death in 2003. A game often mentioned among the best PC games of all time. A pioneer in the weird CRPG world. Some say is a spiritual predecessor to Disco Elysium. This is Planescape Torment, and its theme, chosen by Rudi, composed by Mark Morgan and Richard Band. Man, that's nice. I love that. God, it almost sounds like a slime or an ooze kind of coming down the wall of a cave. I like that, the really limited percussion. Just enough reverb on everything. Cymbal washes, and just the way that piano kind of slinks along. But it's got a warmth to it as well. It's sort of creepy, but creepy and warm at the same time. Like, yeah, you're a piece of slime coming down a cave wall, but you've got a family, you know. You came from something. Your father was a slime in this cave. Your mother, too. Does that mean they were related? Who cares? You're slime. Doesn't matter if you're inbred. A sacred neutral ground. The slime people shall meet with the mud people in the hallowed caves of our ancestors, and we shall discuss who gets the dark, moist area of the cave. Alright, let's pick it up. A Claudio pick from the PC Classic Doom. This is At Doom's Gate, composed by Bobby Prince. They didn't make tracks too long back then, but this was, I think at the time, this must have felt pretty progressive. And probably in the same way that the return to Doom 2016 is just like relentless. Take no prisoners, low end guitar, bass, drums, chugging with that mix of like electro. It's probably felt the same way. Just taking guitars, bass, trying to sound like a metal band, but played on MIDI. And it was done really fast. And like you say, cyflan and a lot of these stages don't take that long. It's just all about just like speed and running and shooting and then eventually getting lost and going back and forth and thinking, what the hell did I miss? Was there some kind of a fucking key back here? Was there like a hidden thing in the wall? Have I been here before? Oh yeah, there's dead bodies everywhere. Oh look, some health. Okay, that's good. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. When you find a new room, there's people to kill. And you fire up the Gatling gun and the BFG. We got a Chris pick from Dune. This is Ornithopter, composed by Stefan Peek. It's a little hard to listen to with the limitations of the hardware they had back then, but I mean, it feels like they had less to work with here almost than we had on the NES, because the sounds were just really not all that pleasant. But I think they did a really good job of creating really interesting beat that works repetitively. And then just using a lot of arpeggios to illustrate, like, you're kind of playing all the notes one at a time that you would hear in a chord or a scale to give the illusion that there's a lot more notes existing at one time. And I love that arpeggio. They just use a lot of really clever compositional tricks to make it sound like there's a lot more happening at once than there really is possible on the hardware they use. Alright, our last pick from the day is going to be from Baldur's Gate, Safe in Berghost, composed by Michael Hoenig. Nice track, nothing that really kind of knocks you out of your shoes or anything, but just well composed, works really well for a game like this, especially probably a track you're going to have to hear a lot. Sometimes I think, well, no, a lot of times in a game like this where you're not going to have probably a lot of different music and there's going to be a lot of repetition with it, you can't necessarily always be super out of the box. Sounds like traveling through a forest on a mission from the military. Doesn't get any better than that. If you'd like to participate, if you think these songs suck, well, then submit a comment, and we'll give you a Discord link, and you can be part of the team, and you can submit songs. Or you can also submit what you think would have been great, 2 or 3 songs for the PC. And maybe you'll hear them on the next show. So goodbye if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, we'll go over a couple more that didn't get played.